Not all monitors are equal. When you're going to buy a pair of monitors, there's so many things you should be paying attention to. The diameter of its driver cones, the things that they use to build the cones with. Is it paper? Is it metal? How many drivers are there? Is it a two-way monitor, three-way monitor, four-way monitor? Is the cabinet made of wood? Is it made of metal? How is the impulse response to the monitor? How is the frequency response to the monitor? Does it have a lot of bass? There's so many things to take into consideration. So what I want to do today is cover one very, very important monitor that I think a lot of us probably overlook when we get into the higher end monitor space. And that is my beloved HS5 monitors. Now, on a pro audio page like mine, it's not often that you'll see me reviewing something like the pair of HS5 monitors or a budget pair of monitors like this, but some budget gear just has almost everything that you want. And in this particular case, the HS5 monitor excels for two main reasons. In really expensive monitors, it can be really, really hard to get an accurate transient response and to have a really good and neutral mid-range to work with. The thing about the HS5s is because they're so small, there isn't a lot of low end there to work with. But that also means that there isn't very much harmonic distortion going on in the box either. So the transients are going to be really snappy, the transients are going to be really clear and sharp, and you'll be able to make really wise decisions when it comes to balancing your mid-range. That said, the top end is particularly smooth and these monitors are not fatiguing at all. The way that I use them in my studio tends to be in a fashion that most engineers like to use their NS10s. I like to pull up the HS5s and use them as a fine-tuning, tweaking system to be able to get things locked in. But something that I found with the HS5s, and just like with any other monitor, it doesn't necessarily agree with every single DAC you throw at it. Sometimes DACs give you a lot of information and it doesn't necessarily benefit the speaker that you're working with to have that much information, or maybe the DAC just has a certain color that doesn't necessarily agree with the monitors you have. Now that being said, the DAC of choice that I actually love to use with my HS5s is my Apollo Twin. Yes, the Apollo Twin. I do use the Apollo Twin still. I use it to this day for a lot of the production work I do and on the HS5s, for the fact that they pair together really well and they complement each other. The Apollo Twin doesn't have a very clear top end. It isn't super open the way that other DACs, more expensive than it, tend to have a top end. But at the same time, it also doesn't have a super aggressive and overbearing low end. The Prism Lyra that I have definitely is a little bit heavier in the low end frequencies and has a much more full and aggressive low end to it, but the Apollo doesn't. And this definitely brings even further the mid-range in that speaker to a new level of clarity and puts a focus on that mid-range area in these little monitors. So for me, I can't see myself getting rid of these HS5s because they do so much good for me when handling that mid-range. Now, of course, I love my big boy monitors. They sound great. They do really great things for me. But as a producer, having such big speakers can make the production process a little bit more complicated than it needs to be sometimes. Especially when I work in pop and I work on pop music, having a really, really simple but effective arrangement, simple but effective melodies, a simple but effective drum programming and drum sequences tends to be more important to me in the production process and harder to achieve on monitors that are so big. A friend of mine gave me some advice quite a while, maybe a few years ago, and he said you make big decisions on small speakers and small decisions on big speakers. And I didn't exactly grasp how true that would be for me in my situation and for most producers, but my HS5s I use exclusively for big decisions. If I need to pick a kick, choose a snare, if I need to figure out if my sampling is really good and the whole record moves as a whole, if I want to know that the record is translating, or if there's any mix issues that might really, really stand out on a small system. There's so many things that I can rely on this budget pair of speakers for. Now, something that a lot of you don't know about Yamaha is that they made these Yamahas, the HS5s, the HS8s, the HS7 series, to replace their predecessor, which is the famous Yamaha NS10s. The NS10s are fantastic monitors for the fact that they're unforgiving, relentless, and they make you work really hard to be able to get a good sound out of them. There are also some tricks and tips when using NS10s, using Pultec EQs and other small things to be able to get a really balanced, punchy low end every single time, or to get a super clear mid-range every single time. And over the years, people have developed so many tricks that people tend to still rely on NS10s even to this day, but It's a new dawn. It's a new day. We're new engineers, and the HS5s are definitely a good contender if you want a good budget pair of monitors. They're very effective, and if you add a little sub under there, you got everything you need. You got that transient response, full frequency response. If you like this video, please do comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and thank you for tuning in. Ciao.